Here's an issue that I've been trying to provide some clarity on, but seem to have a difficult time. And again, I've made a video. I know I made at least one video on this, but here goes. Here's another attempt. So here we have a fence post and some concrete, and the top of the concrete footing is sloped. It's the perfect fence post and concrete design. It's sitting off of the ground. It allows the water that from if it's raining or snowing, any water that was to get on the top to drain off and into the soil. So great way to build it. And this is what it would look like in the ground. They can be square. They don't have to be round. A lot of times they're round because people use post hole diggers. It's a machine that you can rent from your rental yard, local rental yards. So here we have one design. The concrete is the footing doesn't surround the bottom of the wood post, and some people actually do this. They believe that the water that absorbs into the post or into the concrete is going to absorb or drain out the center. Again, I've seen this. I've heard all sorts of theories on this. It's hard to tell. Whenever I put a fence post in, I usually have the concrete wrap around the bottom, unless I am going to use some gravel. Now, here's what happens normally with the soil. The soil gets wet from you running your sprinklers. One of the worst things you could do is have your sprinklers hitting your wood fence anyway. So if you keep replacing wood posts, or if you want to put some metal posts in there, I'd imagine the metal would rust over time, depending on what type of metal it is. But here's what normally happens is concrete will absorb moisture, and any moisture from the soil will absorb into the concrete and then absorb into the wood. And this is normally what creates the biggest problem for the wood. It remains wet for long periods of time and then starts to decay. So if you have an opening at the bottom, then you can see where you're going to have more water, more moisture absorb into the wood at the bottom. It's not uncommon to take apart a fence. Your fence post actually falls off at the top. It's all rotted. To have it rotted all the way down, it might not be rotted as bad in the upper area, but in the bottom, it's just completely gone. So in this one here, I've showed you just lowered the footing. It's encased in the concrete, and I think this is better if you're going to do something like this. It's going to at least protect the bottom. You can actually have moisture in the ground. If you have a water level that's something like this, maybe 6 inches down, you have a constant supply of water to this area. It's not going to be uncommon for the water to go under here and be at the same level. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but any water, if they have a water level at a certain height, very good chance inside of the cylinder you're going to have the water at that same level. And of course, the more water you have, the faster your fence post is going to decay. Now, here's what I've been getting a lot of suggestions. Somebody putting gravel, and I've heard of a variety of different sizes. Hey, all you need is about 2 inches of gravel below. So other people, I put a foot of gravel below. The width on it varies, but they're suggesting that if you put the gravel, and this is the reason why I'm making the video. These people are suggesting that you can put the gravel at the bottom of a fence post and it's going to last forever. And in my point I'm trying to make, and I've been trying to make for quite some time, is it really depends on the soil that the fence is being built into. If you have a sandy soil or a soil that drains well, then the gravel idea might be fine, but at the same time, why would you need it? If the soil drains and doesn't retain a lot of water like clay soil would. If you have clay soil, clay is going to retain water for longer. It's not going to let the water drain as easily into the earth as the sandy soils would. So here's something that I just can't seem to make my point across. If you put the gravel in an area and it's well-drained soil, then you might not need the gravel. Hope that makes sense. If you put the gravel in an area where you have clay soil, then what's going to actually happen in the gravel is the water that is in the surrounding area is going to take the path of least resistance and absorb into the gravel area. And you'll actually have a pond of water in this area. Oh, heck, I drew my pond in here. Let's take it at a different level. Okay, there we go. No, we don't. Okay. There we go. There's my pond. So let's just say that the water drains into the soil. It just drains past the top 6 inches. And you can even have situations where your water level in your area is 6 inches or a foot off the ground, underneath the ground. And if this is the case, you're going to have water in or moisture in the soil for all year sometimes. But if you have any moisture and you have the gravel underneath, then the gravel is going to fill up with water. And this is my whole point. I just can't seem to make it, and hopefully I'm making it in this video. So if you have clay soil and gravel, I don't think you're going to be solving the problem, because the water is going to take the path of least resistance, fill up this area. And as the water drains away, fine. But again, as the water drains out of these areas, the gravel might do you some good if the water drains away and then some water comes down around the area and then remains below the wood. Then you're not going to have a problem. But any moisture that fills up the gravel area, any moisture that does not drain through the soil, can also be absorbed into the concrete footing. So you can actually have the gravel fill up with water and then the moisture from the soil coming in through the concrete footing, and you really haven't done anything. And in some cases, you're actually going to accelerate the decay of the wood, because the water is going to sit in the gravel for long periods of time as it takes the path of least resistance through the clay into the gravel. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go to the next scene. Now, what if you put gravel all the way around? Again, let's go through the same scenario. If we have well-drained soil, do we really need the gravel? Probably not. If we have clay soil and the moisture has a difficult time going through the clay, it's going to seek the path of least resistance and fill up the areas. Now, I drew two different sides here. Let's just say, how much gravel would you put in? 6 inches, 2 inches? If you only put a couple of inches of gravel around the footing, then the dirt is going to come through here faster, and it would be almost like, why bother putting the gravel in? I don't know how much gravel you would have to put in to actually keep most of the dirt out, to where you could have some type of an effective water resistant area like this, or if it would even be worth spending the money to make something like this. So just to recap everything, the gravel in certain soils like clay, where the water does not go through the soil very fast, could actually become a container, like a bucket, and fill up with water, making the problem even worse. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to attach a few links to this video here at the end, send you to some other videos. Don't forget to visit the website. Go to homebuildingandrepairs.com. You would click on the outdoors link at the top and then select fences, and that's where we'll have most of our videos and more information about my thoughts on this particular process. So again, I'm not suggesting this won't work. I just don't think it's a solution to solve everyone's problem.